to do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
Sorry, whatever. It's going to be interesting, though, because, like, last week we had, like, quote, nothing to talk about, and we talked for, like, almost 2 hours. And this week we have a lot to talk about, and I don't know if it's going to be as long. I don't know. We'll see.
Always seems to be the case, doesn't it? And yeah, we might as well just roll straight into it. If you have click record, you may as well just start going if everything's going there. So welcome back to the Living Legends podcast. I'm your host for today. My name's Az, and I'm from Go Again Gaming. And joined, as always, by Red Zone Rogue, but no Bill this week, which is a shame.
Yeah, Bill wasn't feeling very well, so he's just going to be kind of chilling, relaxing, healing, all that good stuff. And now you're just stuck with me and Az. You're stuck with the two degenerates. So
that's right, absolutely. But yeah, I'm going to try and be a host today, but this is just going to be a mad ramble as it always is. But how are you doing? First of all, you all good?
I'm doing all right. I don't want to start with too much like bummer stuff. Personally speaking, we had a trip to the vet yesterday that was like $300. So vet visits are never great. And when they're expensive, they're extra not great. And it's going to lead to another trip that Robin and I need to schedule eventually for some surgery. It's not like super emergency like last year, but, you know, we still just got to get it done. So other than that, here's the positive side. I'll give you the positive spin on it. Potato's doing okay. She just needs some teeth surgery. She just needs like a cleaning and probably to have some removed because one of her teeth fell out like a couple days ago.
Really?
And that can be bad. Like those can get infected and you know all this kind of stuff. And one of the reasons why it was expensive because they had to give her some antibiotics and all that kind of good stuff. And we got her regular, you know, rabies checkup, all the stuff. So there's a positive lining on that. So I'm doing okay. I'm feeling a little what's the right word? A little lighter right now. Not like physically, but I also recently cleaned out my studio, like the studio here. Yeah. And I'm not quite done with it yet, but it just feels like a little bit, you know, just feels a little bit lighter. It's nice to be like, you know, tidy, have all your ducks in order. So yeah.
Oh yeah, especially if you know if you've got your office, your workspace is essentially in your home, right? So it's nice to do a bit of spring cleaning. It sort of reframes your state of mind almost. It's always worth doing for sure, especially if there's just like cards all over the desk. It's just pure chaos.
There's still some cards all over the desk, but it's much less. And I've sorted all the cards that were on the floor because I had a bunch of like just stacks of cards on the floor from various booster sets for various card games. And what I'm left with now is there's like 5 or 6 big fat stacks of Magic here that are essentially what I would consider like my more valuable cards. And I need to sort them by if they're actually valuable or not. And then I have the same thing, but for Flesh and Blood as well. But that's on like 2 stacks because most of my Flesh and Blood's already pretty well sorted. So I just need to do that. Just sit down and like pull up TCG Player and like be like, all right, is this card still worth like $10 or is it like a 25 cents now kind of deal, right? I know some of them are, but some of them, you know, are probably like 25 cents. So
could be worth doing as well with the obviously vet bills and stuff. If there's a couple of cards lying around that are actually worth something and you don't use them or whatever, or if you've got multiples, then could be a good time to do that as well, perhaps. Because cards and hobby stuff laying around is a good asset to have laying around, isn't it? Most of the time, because it can translate into what you need sometimes, which is nice.
Randomly just have a lot of like very nice Magic cards, and you know, I don't do Magic content very much, but you know, I still acquire some cards here and there, and like I really like the Dominaria Remastered set that came out like last year or the year before or whatever, and I bought some of that, and I just inexplicably just have like I don't know like 5 or 6 Entombs just because I opened up some of that, and they used to be a valuable card. I don't know how much they're worth now, but I got some Entombs. So yeah. Anyway, it's just lots of stuff. So I'm doing personally pretty good, and I'll save the rest for the Arsenal step because I want to talk about video games some more.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
But how about you, man? How have you been?
Yeah, I'm doing all right actually. Speaking of dogs, the Doberman puppy that I've got is actually having teeth falling out as well because they're puppy teeth. So the
Yeah.
puppy teeth are now falling out. We were playing with her the other day, like a rope sort of pulley toy thing, and we just saw like 3 or 4 just fall out,
Yeah.
and we were
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit!" but it was okay, luckily. So they're just obviously puppy teeth. But yeah, I've got all that to come as puppies get older and obviously turn into actual dogs. All of that stuff is yet to come. Obviously, the good and the bad. So owning a pet is an emotional roller coaster. I'm sure. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of like fun stuff and like not fun stuff ahead of you, man. Like your dog's gonna go through like basically the dog equivalent of like the terrible twos, and you're gonna have to look into like training and all that kind of stuff because like you got a big dog, and dogs are like active animals. They really need to burn energy, and so it's like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like, hopefully your dog doesn't like rip apart like pillows and stuff. It might happen. Like it's just a thing,
Yeah, it has its things that it likes to sort of bite and grab onto and stuff. But yeah, luckily no pillows or furniture as of yet. So we are doing well in that sense.
The actual worst is if your dog is like, your laptop cable looks like a chew, like a rope chew, and they just shred that stuff up. I've heard that many times working in the pen industry. I worked in the pen industry for like 7 years or so. So like, that's not uncommon to hear like, yeah, my dog chewed up my $150 like power supply for my laptop or whatever.
Yeah, and that could be quite close to home for me as well, because obviously, as I mentioned in previous podcasts, I'm living around my mum's at the moment, and where I set up for streaming and gameplay videos is in the lounge where the dog can access. So
yeah,
need to make sure I store those cables away.
My parents' dog like crunched up one of my like rare Xbox 360 games when I was staying with them long time ago, like over 10 years ago. To no surprise to anyone, I actually really like the Fatal Frame series, and I had like a pretty nice rare copy of Fatal Frame 2 on Xbox 360, and she like crunched that thing up, man. Didn't ruin the disc, but like the nice box that it came in and all the art and stuff got like kind of shredded. So
damn.
Yeah, I reboxed, like I put it in a new case, but you could see how it got mangled a little, but it happens,
Yeah. But yeah, obviously we are going to speak about some Flesh and Blood stuff today because there was some interesting things revealed over the last week or so, and a couple of cool little tweets with regards to from the LSS mothership themselves, as to what heroes are doing well at the moment, and a couple of interesting things that we're going to delve into, and some new product stuff as well, which is actually expanded upon. I didn't realize there was a lot more than what there actually was. So you can give us a lowdown on that when we get to it. But
yeah,
our weeks in Flesh and Blood, I've got quite a lot because I'm doing quite a lot at the moment. So I can just start with this. And Bill and his good buddy Jay were actually on the casting the League That Means Nothing. And the first game, or the first 2 games or 3 games when you're seeing this are now out with them doing that. And they thoroughly enjoyed it. They had some cool games to commentate on. So that's on now, and that's something that I probably will just shout out every week because it's going to be an ongoing thing most of the time. We're only in round 3 at the moment, so when this video comes out, there's still a lot of weeks to go, so it could be taking up a lot of time. But yeah, just regular gameplay content over on Go Again Gaming at the moment, which is nice. So it's good to be doing that. Although today I found out something which I had not actually figured out until this point, and I pinged Joshua Scott to check the rules, and he pinged me back, and that my realizations were not justified, but they were corrected by Joshua Scott. So basically, the interaction was Teklo Vossen, who we don't see much of because he's not that good, or a lot of people don't sort of play him because he's not a meta hero. But in the League That Means Nothing, people just play what they want. The main interaction was if you play an Evo Steel Soul Memory onto one of your proto base equipment, does the Steel Soul memory trigger to give you an intellect? And it doesn't. Whereas whenever I played it against my mate locally, he was using that trigger to get an intellect off of the proto base head equipments that start in play. But apparently, according to Josh, it needs to be an Evo transforming into another Evo in order for that to trigger, basically, because the proto base stuff that you start with are not classed as Evos. So that was something that I learned today. So you can't just trigger the Evo Steel Soul stuff by putting it onto a base equipment. It needs to be an Evo already. So that's something I learned today. I'm not sure whether you know that, but it's quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's good to know. I mean, I can't say that I've played too much with Teklovossen outside of Crack Shuffle play, and I don't think I opened up a single Evo Steel anything during that time, so it didn't really come up. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting because I was editing it, and I was just like, "Oh, hold on a minute, is this correct?" And then suddenly it wasn't. So I had to basically just bin the whole video, and it's a shame because any sort of Teklovossen, the guy that's playing Teklovossen in the league hasn't had any games featured yet, and I'm like, this is the one. This is the one where your game is going to get featured, and we were playing it wrong the whole time.
Oh, no.
The whole time he'd been playing the hero since he got it. He'd been playing it wrong the whole time because he thought he could trigger his Steel Souls onto the base equipment when he couldn't. Which just makes Teklo even worse than what we originally thought. So hey ho, these things happen. But let us know in the comments below if you've had any interactions that have just come to you, because that was one that's come to me recently. But yeah, apart from that, did some silly graphics this week. I made a Queen Kasai Photoshop.
I saw the official Fab Twitter basically kind of copied you, man. They
Yeah.
That's a pardon me, that's like a copyright infringement.
Yeah.
What I'm alluding to is like they did like an Oscars or award thing that put Kasai in like a tunic, and I'm like, I thought it was one of Az's, and then I was like, oh wait, this is coming from the Flesh and Blood official like Twitter, and I'm like, bro,
right.
they just aped your style, man.
Stealing my ideas. I had a. I'm not sure whether you saw some of the other ones that I did. Like I did like Dory in a tunic, like Azalea in a tunic.
Oh, you've done a bunch, man. I remember you've done a whole bunch. Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? But yeah, someone was like, "Oh, he's keep an eye on this Go Again Gaming as and just steal his ideas so we can so we can make ourselves look good." Nah.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny because it was the Kasai and the Oscars, and they also did a follow up with, cause obviously all the hype is on Pro Tour LA now, which I think is next weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend after, I think, isn't it?
I think so. Sounds right.
22nd of May, something like that. But they're doing a few other ones as well. Like you've got Kasai in the tunic, and you've also got Betsy like leaning up against this car with sunglasses on, which is quite funny. But yeah, I think it's not something you see a lot of. You don't see a lot of people do weird hero alters with like wearing things that they could potentially equip and stuff. I think I might see a few other people do it, but I've done absolutely loads of those heroes, different people wearing different things. So it's nice to see that they're getting on the sort of graphic design social media posts, because yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see. But yeah, where was I going with that? I can't remember where I was going with that.
I don't remember. It was kind of a tangent. We were talking about your week in Flesh and Blood. You were talking about the league.
And then I said Queen Kasai. Yeah, so Queen Kasai it was like Kasai wearing Brave Forge bracers, the Grains of Blood Spill, which is a great card. I've seen a lot of good play. Actually, speaking of that, there's going to be, when this video comes out, the Thursday and the Friday after this video comes out, there's going to be 2 Warrior games on the League That Means Nothing. That's going to be casted by myself and Patrick Shaw from Off the Rails TCG. He's a big Warrior fan. And we casted 2 Warrior games, 1 Dory and 1 Kasai. And that card, Grains of Bloodspill, I'm telling you, is madness. It really is. It's just so good. I think I said this on the last podcast as well. It's just so good. It's very, very good.
Yeah, it's a sweet one for sure.
Yeah. yeah, so yeah, I was just going to hammer home that every week basically until it changes. But anything on your end? I know you've been busy with a lot of other games at the moment, but
Yeah, I mean, like normally my amount of busyness with Flesh and Blood really boils down to just the content I do. Since I'm full-time content, I don't really have time to make it to locals or anything like that.
yeah, same here.
Outside of like, much bigger events. So I haven't really done much with Flesh and Blood this week. You're talking about the league, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should join. Next time you do round 2 of the league, maybe I should join. That'll give me an excuse to at least play, more often. But yeah, no, not a ton. I've been following some of the news. Obviously, I saved a lot of it for the podcast here because I wanted to discuss it on the podcast, like the new CC starter decks, as well as some of the like the battle hardened news, and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I've just been kind of like mostly following that.
Yeah, we're all fans, aren't we? We're all going to follow the stuff, even if we're not doing stuff. It's going to be, we're all fans of it. We're all following it, and there's quite a lot of stuff to talk about today. Well, there's a big thing that's released, which was kind of coincides with what we were talking about last week, and we can jump into that now straight away because that's the big thing, isn't it? We can jump into that now.
I mean, it's probably going to be the name of the episode. Probably going to be on the thumbnail. We had a couple options I could go with the names, but it's probably going to be about the CC starter decks. Another thought would have been like, your meta tier lists are wrong, and that's going to be the other topic we're talking about.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the CC deck, because I think that is some of the most interesting. So this last week we had GAMA, which is a big tabletop event. A lot of card games are there. It was actually really cool to see Flesh and Blood actually have a presence at an event like that, because typically they usually don't go to those kind of things. You don't really see Flesh and Blood at like Gen Con or anything, so it's cool to see them at GAMA this year. A lot of other card games that I really enjoy were there too, but they had kind of like a panel that they revealed a lot of news, which once again kind of surprising because they usually don't do this kind of stuff. And from the panel we got a whole bunch of news. So let me. How do I want to do this? Let's talk about the CC decks first, but there's also some other news as well.
Because you showed me the picture with like because someone must have been there and then made a list of what they'd announced, and you showed me that, which I did not see at all. All I saw was the CC deck, but there's a load of other company and stuff as well. But yeah, the main thing was the thing that Flesh and Blood posted as an image, and it's the coming soon Flesh and Blood Armory deck is what they're calling it, and it's got a question mark on it, and in the top left corner it says CC for Classic Constructed. So these are Classic Constructed, pre-made, pre-constructed decks, which apparently can be played to a Armory level standard or Armory level competitiveness. Essentially. So this is great.
Yeah, here's all the bullet points before we kind of give our opinions of it. So it is the #1 most requested product from stores and players. That makes a lot of sense. It's really funny because I think some people forget that they used to have CC starter decks. The very first decks were CC starter decks. They called them I think they called them hero decks at the time. So it's kind of a good way to. It's good to see them return to that, but make them a little bit more competitive. We'll talk about that in a moment. It says they're designed to be competitive at Armory event level. We'll have to discuss what that even means. It will contain new and reprinted content, so there will be new content in these. They are exclusive to active Armory gem stores, so only active Armory gem stores will be able to sell these. They are in limited quantities, tightly allocated. That's literally what it says on the slide. They are $39.99 USD MSRP, so they're $40, and they're going to be arriving soon. Actually, Q2 2024. So those are the bullet points, literally word for word from the Flesh and Blood slide that they did at GAMA. So basically, long story short, CC starter decks, $40, only to gem stores, limited quantity, whatever that means. It does say tightly allocated, and it will contain new content and reprinted content at the same time. And we also know from another thing we'll talk about in a little bit later is that each CC Precon release will feature one hero per release. So it sounds like they're just going to be doing one deck at a time and not like a pair of decks or something like that. And we'll talk about how that relates to their overall release schedule, because we are getting a lot more Flesh and Blood product releases starting mid this year. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's talk about the actual CC decks too. So actually, what are your thoughts on it first, Az, before I kind of throw down?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something we've discussed for a while. We in previous podcasts we've said, what if we could get something like, the Kai Buddy World Championship style deck or something like that Magic has, right? Precons at the very least that can be played at a competitive level.
These feel like the challenger decks that Magic has, right? Or they they don't do it anymore, but they had like the standard challenge decks that had like, deck archetypes that had some mythics, but not full play sets.
Yeah, maybe the World Championship decks weren't a good comparison because they weren't legal to play because they had the gold borders in Magic days, didn't they? But they at least allowed you to replicate the power of a World Championship deck, at least on a kitchen table or whatever.
It's how I played with Grim Monolith. Is how I played with Grim Monolith as a kid because I couldn't afford that. I could barely afford it now. That card's expensive still.
I've got the Grim Monolith with the gold border in one of my commander decks.
Actually, me too, actually. Yeah.
So I've still got that. It's dusty as hell and damp and horrible, but that's it. But yeah, so yeah, I love the idea, but I don't know about this. I don't know about this if they're limited or allocated or whatever. And they've got new content in them. What does that mean? Is that another glistening steel blade situation? If so, I don't think that's a good thing. If it's just aesthetics, then like a different Rhinar, like the classic battles Rhinar art. If it's just art, then maybe that could be okay. But if it's completely new mechanics that are limited to an allocation, I don't know whether that's a good thing or not.
It sounds like it'll be new mechanics because it says will contain new and reprinted content. Unless
it's a new, unless it's like a new hero, like a new hero that's using old cards still. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm not sure.
I imagine it'll be a combination of that. I think. I think there's a lot to unpack here. I saved all my thoughts for the podcast here. So.
Nice.
I think the general vibe here is that this is a huge win. Like, I think this is a really good product. It's really good that they're doing this. They said it's the most requested product. I think it's kind of interesting that they're like, it's the most requested product, but also it's limited. Yeah,
exactly.
We don't know what that means right now. We don't know what it does say literally tightly allocated, but does that just mean that they're not like print to demand, but they're still going to print enough that everyone can get one? We don't know what that actually means. It also might just mean that they're not printing like way too much. Maybe they're just printing the right amount. Perhaps, maybe we could give them the benefit of the doubt there. I will not fault anyone for being concerned about that though. So $40 only at gem stores, active Armory gem stores. So I guess this is maybe one of their ways to help support the active gem stores. It might make it difficult for some people to purchase these. So if you live in an area that doesn't have a Flesh and Blood store and you want to start playing Flesh and Blood, it could be difficult. I'm sure you're going to be able to buy these online, but we'll have to see what the price shakes out to. MSRP is $39.99, so $40. Which I don't think it's too bad if they make these decks like pretty good. Like if these decks are actually pretty good and not just kind of like, hey, they're Armory ready, but you're gonna get dunked at your Armory. If they're actually good, then I think that's like not too bad. So like on the surface, I think this is a very good product. I think it's a very positive thing. A lot of people want it. We'll have to see. There's a lot of questions still, so we'll have to see how it like shakes out. And we can give LSS the benefit of the doubt. But once again, I wouldn't fault anyone for being concerned about the limited quantities and the new content. So like the absolute like devil's advocate argument would be limited quantities, only at select stores, new content. You could say like, oh, they're just going to be really expensive, and then people aren't able to buy them, and they're going to be gouged or whatever. But that's just playing devil's advocate. I don't think it'll actually end up being like that. I think it'll probably be a little bit better. My actual thoughts are like, if they put really, really powerful cards in them, like E-Strike, for example, I feel like they'll probably be a little bit more than MSRP if they are really hard to get. But if every store has like 50 of them, I think it'll be fine. You know?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how it shakes out. I think it's a great idea. And I'm pretty positive on them overall, but it's at the end of the day, I think it's one of those wait and see kind of things. We'll have to see how the first iteration of this is, and if they're going to be really worth it. $40 is a decent amount for just a deck. I assume it comes with like it says armory level, so I assume it comes with a sideboard. Hopefully they give you good equipment. Hopefully it's not just like iron rot stuff. Like hopefully it's like, you know, for the chest piece, like an actually like good one. Hopefully they give you like a legendary or two. That would be pretty cool. Like if it's
it's going to be, I think it obviously armory level, you know, it's hard to really dictate what that means.
My armories are like cutthroat as hell, man. So like
exactly
my armory, you better be rocking up with like a calling level deck or you're going to get destroyed. Like everyone plays with super optimized decks at any Portland armory. Like, there's like groups of people who go around and just smash all the events. That's what they do.
Because they want to play to their best ability, and if everyone in that area wants to play against everybody else at the best of their ability, which Flesh and Blood clearly wants people to do, you know, because that's what it's all about at the moment, at least. You know, why would you not want to play hyper optimized deck? It's hard to. It's like an armory level event. It's almost like having a what do they call it when you sit down at a commander table? The preamble before.
Oh, like Rule Zero.
Yeah, Rule Zero. Armories. They sort of feel like, you know, to the groups that I know of in the UK. Armory nights are okay. I'm going to bring a janky deck today, or I'm going to bring this because it's, you know, the result doesn't really matter. I know a few groups that do that, but like you say, there's also groups that don't do that. So having an armory level deck can mean anything really, depending on what groups you've got or what players and how seriously people take it in your area.
Yeah,
so it's hard to really.
I imagine it'll probably be somewhere in between. I think, you know. My guess is it's gonna have. My guess is they're not gonna go all in. My guess is that it's gonna be like, it'll have playsets of like good cards but cheap cards. It'll have playsets of like Sink Belows and Scar for a Scar, Ravenous Rabble. It'll have like all of that kind of staple stuff, but it'll have like one E-Strike or like, you know, one of a Majestic here or there, maybe two of a Majestic. Maybe you'll get all three of a Specialization or something, but I imagine they're not going to go all in. I don't expect them to be like, here's 3 CNCs in this pre-con. No. So, and I really hope my hope though is that the equipment doesn't suck. Like I hope they give you like good equipment, because man, maybe they're gonna print new equipment. Maybe that's part of the new stuff. They're like, oh, we're gonna print new like mid-tier equipment.
I think that's I was literally writing it down as we were saying it, because I think that's probably what it's going to be. I think it's going to be more along the lines of specialization equipment that we've seen in heavy hitters. That stuff is very good for those heroes, but it doesn't need to be a replacement. You can run instead of Good Time Chapeau, you could run the Crown of Providence or Balance of Justice as your generic 2-block helmet. But the specialization that Betsy has is just synergistic with the deck. So maybe if they bring out like a Dorinthia deck, there's like a headpiece which is a Dorinthia specialization, and that does something different to Crown of Providence, but it still can do some synergies at an armory level, potentially. Maybe something like that, because we have seen a lot more specialization equipments come out recently, so that could be a train that they ride on.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I also think that just specializations in general, I can see them printing like new ones. You know, maybe it's a less powerful hero, and they're like, well, here's a new specialization for the hero to like juice him up a little bit. Maybe they'll do like here's the Riptide Armory deck, and now here's some good stuff for him or something. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, because at the end of the day, these are going to be very specific products. Like they're not everyone's going to want to buy these. Because it's just one hero at a time. You'll buy it if you like the hero or if you want to try out the hero or whatever. But if you don't care, if it is like a Riptide deck and you're like, I don't care about Riptide at all, then you just like don't do it. So I think that might be one of the reasons why they're doing like the limited release, because it is a very, very like targeted, very specific type of product. I do like the fact that they are targeting like the mid-level players. I think this is something we've talked about before, but I think they currently are struggling closing the gap between Ira Welcome deck and like the Blitz starters and then like actually playing, because we mentioned it before, but like, man, if you bring those Blitz starters to like an armory, even if people are playing jank decks, you're probably going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
So like closing the gap, I think is a good idea. And it does sound like they're going to be doing this much more regularly, because they mentioned there's going to be starting with the CC deck product in and starting with, they said mid 2024. I can get the document out again, but they said they're going to be doing essentially 11 products a year. It says here, let me find it. Starting in mid 2024, there'll be a new product 11 months out of the year. That's not a new set. That's just a new product. They did say that there's still going to be 3 core sets a year for draft and sealed. So you can basically assume that in between those sets, we're going to have a new product. I'm not sure if that includes the Blitz pre-constructed decks that we're already getting. So I'm not entirely sure how, like, if that works out. The way it's worded, I would guess it doesn't include those, because they usually come out the same month as a booster set. And it says there'll be 11 months out of the year getting a new product.
Well, so 11 months out of the year. What does that mean? So every month apart from one, we're going to get a new product.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Like some sort of new product. It's not it's very vague on what they mean by product. So I can see a situation being like, okay, you have a booster set, and then the next month you have an armory deck, and then the next month you have I don't know, like a from the vaults. Yeah, or like a round the table thing, and then the next month's like a from the vaults kind of thing, and then hey, you've come up to that 4-month window, new set's out. Here's the new set. Then after that, you kind of like repeat. I don't know. It could be something like that, but
that's interesting. That's an interesting discussion point off the back of products. Then do you reckon they could? Do you reckon they could do like like Commander Collection Green? Do you reckon they could do like generic collection HP 1 or whatever, and then they could print a set which is CNC, E-Strike, Art of War, and you got a different art, a special art for it, and it comes with just those 3 cards. Do you reckon they could sell things like that, or would that be outrage?
I 100% think they want to. I think they're gonna try. Like, mark my words right now. I think they're gonna try it. I think that's one of the things that they're gonna have in the pipeline. Maybe not exactly the cards that Az said, but I think like it'll be like, here's the Warriors barracks or whatever, and it's like, here's some legendary, like here's like Brave Forge bracers, here's like a new alternate art cold foil Dawn Blade. Like it'll probably have like high end stuff and some like just new fancy versions, like, oh, here's an alt art Dorinthia and cold foil, but also like a legendary or whatever. I 100% think they're gonna do that. I think it'll probably be like hero specific or class specific, one of those two. Hero specific makes a lot of sense, but I could see them going either way.
You don't want it to be. You don't want it to. Well, not like I care about the collector side of things, but if someone's like, if you're reprinting things that, I guess that doesn't really matter, because first edition and stuff still hold their value and that, don't they? So I guess that wouldn't really matter, because it would still be yeah, the older stuff would still retain their value. If you reprinted a CNC with just a different art, it's not as special as the other one, if that makes sense. It's just
Yeah.
a different version. Yeah. It just
Um,
depends on what aesthetics you like.
yeah. And so, yep. So we're going to be getting new CC decks. We don't know how many per year, but it sounds like probably a couple. In between the booster sets. So before I move on to the other bits of news, there's a bunch of more bullet points to go on that we've learned from GAMA. I just kind of want to like wrap up this discussion because we had a big discussion last week about like wanting more products for Flesh and Blood. A lot of people in the comments, I'd say an overwhelming majority in the comments were like, I like 3 sets a year, which makes sense. That's exactly what I said. I was like, this people like this. I imagine most people like fall into the camp, especially if you're like more budget minded, or if you're not like super into it and you don't play, Flesh and Blood 20 hours a week. You're probably just like cool with it, just rolling on out. But we did get some comments that were like, no, they need 4 or 5 sets a year. And we got some other people who are like, 3 sets a year is good, but there needs to be more like supplemental or ancillary products. And it looks like that's the route that LSS has decided to go. 3 draftable sets plus more ancillary products. I think it's a really good idea. I think the biggest problem with only having 3 sets a year is that the game gets a little stale, and not in terms of like your personal Dorinthia deck gets stale. It's just like if there's no buzz, no one talking about it, nothing new, it just kind of like peters out. At least for me, as someone who keeps up with like so many different games, it's like, well, I haven't heard anything new about Flesh and Blood in like 3 months. So it's good to keep this stuff, and good to keep people like who are really loving the game and the IP like interested in stuff.
Definitely,
especially like these CC decks, you don't have to buy them all, right? Like I said, if you don't care about Riptide or whatever, don't buy the Riptide deck.
It could be a nice base as well to maybe experiment. So if people that are just play one deck and one deck only are like, I can go to an armory this week, but I don't want to play my pet deck. I'm just going to buy this thing off the wall and play with this today. And then suddenly you could be exploring a new hero,
100%.
that you really like. So it could be a good way for that as well.
Yeah, I can see that helping break the hero problem that we talked about like 6 months ago. Gives players easier access to more heroes. Once again, assuming the decks are good, right? We'll have to wait and see how the decks are. I assume they're pretty good, but we'll have to see. But yeah, if they're $40 or maybe even less, that was MSRP. So like map is like what, like 20% or whatever lower than that. I don't remember the exact map policy, but if they're like $40 or around that price, and you're just like, you know what, $40 to just kind of like jam some games every other week or every week for your armories, it's not the worst. Assuming they're pretty good. Because it does make, I did see the $40 price tag, and I'm like, for just a deck, I mean, that's a little pricey. I will mention this, like another card game that I cover a lot and really love, Grand Archive also announced that they're doing like new pre-constructed decks, and they're $50, but they come in a very, very nice magnetic box, and they come with a whole bunch of extra swag. They come with 100 Dragon Shield sleeves featuring the character. They come with life counters and dividers and all of that kind of stuff. So it's only $10 more, but you get like a lot more value. And these decks are like, we'll have to see. Once again, we don't know. We don't know if they're bare bones. We don't know what they come with. But it's always interesting to draw comparisons to other similar things.
Yeah, because like if you look at the box design as they've posted on the page, it kind of looks like the same sort of shape as like a commander deck would be, right?
Yeah, I don't imagine it'll come with a lot of extra fancy stuff, because like the flesh the Grand Archive one is like a wider magnetic box. I actually gotta like hold it and check it out at the prototype version for it at NA Nationals. This is very nice. So once again, we'll have to see if the value is there and all that kind of good stuff. But I think everyone's pretty like high and positive on it. So
Yeah, I think it's great. It's just going to be interesting to see what the armory level, quote unquote, deck will actually be like, and what cards sort of make it a armory level deck.
yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they do as well, just for LSS, because like I mentioned, Magic used to do these for standard and they just didn't work, and people, I mean, the decks were cool, but like they didn't sell very well. That's a large part because people don't really play standard, they play commander these days. But instead of like trying to revamp it, Wizards of the Coast just like dropped the product line entirely. So I'm really curious to see how well these do for Flesh and Blood. I imagine a lot better. But once again, it's still one of those things that's it's like really interesting to see, and draw comparisons with other games that are trying similar stuff. Different games, different audiences, but similar products. So outcome may be different.
Yeah, it's just interesting it's interesting as well that there's only one. Like it's not like it's not like you walk into a shop and then there's like 4 CC decks that you can choose from, or maybe you and your mate haven't played the game and you then pick one each. Like similar to how I know they've tried to do this with classic battles, but similar to how Magic used to have the dual decks, like Angels versus Demons. You and your mate can just walk into a random shop, pick up the game and start playing, and then maybe get into it hardcore afterwards.
I think for the first one you'll have that problem, but after that I think it'll be fine. So the more I think about it, so say that is the situation, right? You go into your LGS and they have just the one that came out like right now, but maybe like say in December, if they've released 4 this year, maybe they'll have all 4. And then you can choose which ones to pick. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they have a limited print run, because they don't want to load up stores with like 1 billion of these things. If they do plan on printing more and more, like different versions, like different heroes. Because they did say 11 products a year. They didn't say how many of those are going to be CC starter decks, but like a few of them could definitely be. So, yeah. I think Az is frozen here, contemplating. If you're watching the audio only version, is he back?
I'm back. Am I back?
Is he back? Oh, you were frozen in a very contemplative pose. You're like, just kind of like, for like 10 seconds. Yeah.
I could still hear you, but you'd frozen on my side, so that's interesting. But yeah, like you say, if it's a limited print run, I guess that's also good, because the bad thing about the commander situation in Magic now is if you walk into a shop, there's just loads of precons from sets that you just don't care about anymore that are still on the shelf that will probably never sell. And that is a sad thing to see, because there's like, I've walked into shops and it's like, oh yeah, there's the green and white Coven Counters commander precon, which is now $15, $15.
I mean,
because it's
good for the buyer, I guess. If you just want to play commander and you're like $15, pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
Sucks for the store that has to sell it at a loss, but
Exactly, yeah. So maybe the limited thing in that regard is good when you compare it to other pre-constructed products from other games, perhaps.
Yeah.
That are just sat on the shelves for God knows how long.
Yeah, I think once again, it all boils down to like a wait and see kind of situation. We have to see how good they are. We have to see how like, valuable they are. See if people want to try to like, get a whole bunch and like scalp them. We'll see. I have high hopes for them, but you never know. We've seen some crazy stuff in the TCG industry over the last like 5 years. And once again, on my side, Az is frozen. So we'll just talk, just vamp a little bit. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, everyone? After this, we're gonna talk about all of the bullet points that I have here. There's some really interesting stuff, so we'll stay tuned for that in just a second. Well,
am I back?
Looks like he's back again. All right.
Am I back?
You are back. You're very pixelated, but you're back. Am I good?
Yeah, I can. I've heard you the whole time.
Okay. Yeah, you just froze. How
strange. We haven't had this for a while.
Yeah. Well, good thing I'm recording it on my side, so it should be all fine. They'll just hear me ramble for like 10 seconds every now and then. So yeah, final thoughts on that kind of stuff before I kind of go down the rest of the bullet points from GAMA, because there's a lot of interesting stuff here as well, including like the most expected and disappointing update on PvE, basically what you've guessed, and some other stuff. So any final thoughts on the CC decks before we just jam through the rest of these bullet points?
Just looking forward to seeing how it comes out. It's something that everybody wants, clearly, and we've made points about it on previous podcasts that there needs to be a product like this.
Yeah.
Especially for entry levels into Classic Constructed, which is clearly one of the most popular ways to play, especially from a competitive level. And if that's the focus, they've needed something like this for a while. So, be interesting to see how it rolls out and what the success of it is, and what the new content in those products are, more importantly.
Yep, exactly what Az said. We didn't mention it, but the new content could also be another way to put, oddball cards here or there that don't fit in the expansion slot, since we're not doing the, the expansion type sets anymore. So it just kind of feels like another way to dish out some cards. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think it probably will end up being very, very awesome and a very big success. But as always, I think it's the smartest approach to just kind of like, wait and see, temper your expectations. Yeah, I think what's what they say, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I think they'll be pretty good, though. I think they'll be pretty good. If not like a huge home run. All right, so the rest of the bullet points here. This is coming from someone on Twitter who was there, Tyler Broughton from Righteous Gaming. GAMA updates. All right, he posted he posted a bunch of stuff. So 18 callings and 50 battle hardens. This is just a bunch of stuff that they announced. The heavy hitter set had attendance records for a pre-release. Makes sense. The game is growing, so you would assume that each new pre-release would have attendance records. If it backtracks a little bit, maybe that's a cause for concern, but it continues to grow. 3 core sets this year for Draft and Sealed, so they're going to be continuing that. And then, like I said, starting in mid-2024, there'll be a new product 11 months out of the year, with pre-con starting this summer. So pre-cons will be starting very soon, and then, like we mentioned, 11 months out of the year, we'll have a new product. But that's all that they said about it. We don't know what kind of product. There will be a limited run for CC Precons. We already talked about that. Part the Mistveil releases on May 31st. The Mistveil will be unveiling at PTLA. So there's going to be some spoilers and stuff coming up at PTLA. I imagine we'll see like a hero or two. Just like how we saw like the Emperor at former Pro Tour. Or was that at Worlds previous year?
Emperor was at Lille. Yeah.
Lille,
France.
yeah.
And then Kasai was Barcelona.
Yeah, so I imagine we'll see like the new hero. My spicy guess is it's going to be adult Ira.
That'd be sick.
I think makes a lot of sense. Like if they're going to put Ira in the set, it makes a lot of sense to show her first because people will get a lot of hype for that. And then they're going to be at a bunch of conventions this year too. 70 events over the next 12 months. They're going to be at Gen Con, Essenspiel, UK Games Expo, and PAX, like a bunch of different PAXs. And then I don't know what this exact means, but it says partners at Gen Con sponsoring the event. No idea what that means. I don't know who's sponsoring who. But it sounds like they're going to have a big showing at Gen Con. Like I said, they previously haven't had any like showings at any of these events before, so it makes a lot of sense that they're finally like, hitting the ground running on this kind of stuff. And then go ahead.
UK Games Expo and Essenspiel. UK Games Expo I've only been once, and that was pretty cool. It's mainly like board games and other tabletop games and stuff, but yeah, their presence there will be decent, and that's something I want to go to again. So maybe if they are going to that, I might have to try and go to that and say hello. Whoever's going to be there, I don't know, but that'll be cool.
There's a pretty good chance at this point that I end up going to Gen Con this year. And I've talked about it, going with some other friends and content creators you might know, like Steven Diaramata, as well as our friend from the podcast, Ian here. We've all talked about it, But regardless of that, there's still probably a good chance that I will be going. We'll see. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But yeah, that'd be cool. And then we have a couple more bullet points here. PvE is being worked on. We'll announce later. So no news. I have a feeling that's going to be like that for quite a while.
Quite a couple of years.
Yeah. Just temper your expectations. We even got a PvE comment in last week's comments about the 3 sets a year. They're like, oh, when PvE comes, it'll be great. And it's like, sure will, hopefully, when it comes. I think it comes. PvE, man, is one of those things that it's like Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 3, right? That's the one that hasn't come out yet or has never come out. It's like so hyped that it's like almost impossible to live up to the expectations. Everyone's gonna be like, PvE's got to be like the golden nectar, you know, being fed from the world of Wraith. And I don't know, man. We'll see how that goes. Even if it's like just a good product, I think a lot of people will be disappointed. I think it has to be like amazing. Like I think it has to like blow everyone's ass off to be like live up to expectations. If it's just like a good product, I think people will be like disappointed, because I think a lot of people want it to be different things. And well, yeah, we'll have to see how it. I have confidence that it'll be cool and it'll probably be really fun, but I don't know if it's going to be like everything that everyone wants it to be. So
yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because it's people. A lot of people do want it, and that just goes to show that there are people out there that love your game for the characters and the world and stuff that they've created, and they want to just play with their friends against a system, whatever that system is. So maybe LSS just need to make a bloody PC game or something with their IP on it, you know, and explore the world that way. Because ultimately, those sorts of people, the people that play Baldur's Gate for hundreds of hours on end, they just want to see a world with characters in it rather than just cards. And you know, because that system of card games is very limited. You know, I mean, computer games do a lot more, but
no card game has really. Well, actually, that's not true. I take that back. No Western card game has really done that. Like Magic hasn't even done. Like there have been some Magic games, right? Old school players or people who just know a lot about Magic know about Chandalar, which is great. Chandalar is super fun, old and janky as hell, and it's great. I personally really love it, but they haven't had a ton of like success making like a Magic RPG, right? There's no game that you can just go play and make your own character and play in the Magic world, or like there's not even a game where you can just fire it up and play as like Chandra or Jace or something. That just doesn't exist. They're always kind of like weird takes on the trading card game. They tried an ARPG. I can't remember what it was called. I got into the beta and it was aggressively mid. Yeah, Legends. Yeah, it might be right. It was like fine, but I got kind of bored of it just playing like the beta. So I was like, I don't know, man. There's probably reasons why it never released.
I remember my mate saying, "Oh yeah, this is it. This is going to be the beginning of my streaming career, streaming this Magic ARPG." It never went anywhere.
Yeah, you hear that I heard that a lot for when I covered Force of Will. Everyone was like, when Runeterra came out, they're like, "I'm going to be a Runeterra streamer. I'm going to hit it big."
Yeah.
I mean, Runeterra was great, but you know, said person never became a big Runeterra streamer. Some Japanese card games have done it pretty well. Like it really all boils down to just playing the card game. But there's like a Shadowverse Switch game where you like control your character and run around and you like play like it's like you're basically playing an anime card game, but it's, you know, you're playing it. It's cool. It's really cool. So stuff like that for Flesh and Blood or any other thing would be cool. We'll have to see, but.
Yeah, it's just expectations going wild again. But yeah, we enjoy the world. We want to see more. We are going to be seeing more this year with obviously these bullet points, but PvE is still one of those things that's just forever an enigma at this point, because
I think they
expect a lot.
They just realize at least I hope they realize they have to nail it. It has to be like amazing, because so many people want it to be so many things. People want it to be like a single player experience. People want it to be a cooperative experience. Some people want it to be like a campaign. It's a lot, right? They can't just like I at this point they can't just do like the WoW raid decks.
The raid decks, yeah.
Because if they did that, people would be so disappointed, right? Yeah. There's one game that I've been playing that I want to make a video of, and by been playing, haven't actually played it yet. I have it. Been mean to playing it. It's called Blade Rondo. It's made by Domina Games, a Japanese company. They make a ton of cool games. I really love the art style for this, but Blade Rondo specifically has a really robust single player mode that includes like a boss rush mode and some other stuff. But it's mostly just like like boss rush and that kind of stuff. And I think also that would disappoint people for Flesh and Blood if that was it. So
that was it. Yeah.
That's going to be one of the most interesting reveals in Flesh and Blood history, I think.
But to me, it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. But I think it could add a lot more hype and even sort of coverage to the Pro Tour sort of style stuff, and side events, and there could be all this other stuff going on rather than just
that's all the stuff that's baked into making it super hyped. And if they don't deliver, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah. But we'll see.
So there's that. PvE is being worked on. We'll announce later. And the other last 2 points are things we've already talked about, like the ancillary products will be released between the booster box sets, and each CC Precon will feature one hero per release. So they actually dropped a bunch of news at GAMA. I'm surprised they haven't done like a full official article, like kind of going over this stuff. But yeah, cool to see the Flesh and Blood presence at events. Cool to see them putting all that money that they said that they've been making into more like products for everyone. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it all. As a fan of Flesh and Blood, really excited and curious as to what they have coming. Yeah, I'm curious to know what everyone else thinks, especially all the people who are like, 3 sets a year is all I want. Well, looks like we'll still have 3 sets a year, but you're gonna get a lot more stuff in between those sets. Yeah.
Got a lot to look forward to. So definitely good time to be interested in Flesh and Blood for sure. There's a couple other things as well I just want to mention on as well while we're still going today. And obviously we're going into the Pro Tour soon, and we've just had all the Road to Nationals being played all over the world. And this could be a nice little representation of what we could see at the Pro Tour. And we're not huge meta heads on this podcast, but it's just interesting to see what heroes are getting the results right now. And the main one that's coming up is Dromai Ash Artist.
Dromai's running hot. Pun definitely intended. Makes a lot of sense. Dromai's very good. One of the only, if the only hero in the game currently that has like a board state. Because like you can't really do like Prism Spectra stuff anymore. So yeah. And it's pretty good to have just a bunch of dragons on the field that you can attack with every single turn. It helps circumvent like one of the big, the big core mechanics of Flesh and Blood and that's like you have four cards a turn plus maybe an arsenal, and that's really all you have to work with. But Dromai is like, nah, bro, I can have like 8 dragons and 6 Ashwings or whatever. That's maybe a little high, but I've seen people get like 8 Ashwings. You rake the embers a couple times and there's a bunch of Ashwings. Here you go.
That is the card. That is the card that people do not like at the moment. Is Rake the Embers. I've seen a couple of Twitter comments saying, Rake the Embers needs to go, because that is the one.
Does that mean everyone's cool with Warmonger's Diplomacy now? It's Rake the Embers, the card that everyone hates. And wait, is everyone cool with my codexes now too? No one wants my Codex of Frailty banned.
Yeah, ban Tome instead. Tome of the Imperial Flames, too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely right. It's one of those heroes that can just operate on a completely different axis. Prism, not so much anymore. If you allow Prism to snowball, she can still get Angels out and do this stuff, but nowhere to the same degree as what Dromai can do.
Dromai's just like really consistent, right? It's like consistent, and she doesn't have to work super hard to do it.
No, I mean Yeah, red cards. That's it. And the thing is, as well, is if you're establishing your board state, what you can still do is you can block with most of the cards in your hand, play a 0-cost red, and then all of your dragons are just turned on, and then you can just swing back as if you had a full hand, but you just
or
blocked with
more.
it.
Yeah,
your
depend.
previous turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you get into that battle between not being able to pressure Dromai's hand, she plays one red sigil or whatever, and then she can just come in with the team after after blocking on the previous turn with sand covers and D-reacts like sink below and and fateful scene, which are reds as well. It can be hard to really get through on her. But following closely behind her is KO and Victor. So KO is the other main one that a lot of people are playing at the moment, just because. Well, I saw Sam Dando tweet that Cast Bones is actually garbage. so he was saying Cast Bones is absolute copium. But I've seen some wild things happen with that card.
Hey,
but yeah,
it might be copium, it might not, but it's a fun and cool card in my opinion. Either way, it's sweet.
Good.
I think it's like a really good turn one card. Not sure about other turns, but yeah.
But yeah, but KO is just generally quite consistent. Brutes do have a really decent armor set now as well. So they got 2 blocks all over the place now, which don't go away either. Scowling Flesh Bag, probably one of the best helmets in the game.
Yeah,
to really shut down things.
I want to just drop this right now before I forget, but I remember a lot of people like a month or two ago were like, Flesh and Blood is powering down, the powering down of Flesh and Blood. All the new heroes are weak. And here we see, out of the top 3 currently doing well right now, 2 of them are brand new heroes from the latest set, Victor and KO.
Yeah.
Just saying, I might not be as weak as you guys think, you know?
No. But a lot of people are saying this. A lot of people are saying this meta is fairly open as well. Now you can see this graphic that we're referring to on Twitter or anywhere, any socials where Flesh and Blood have posted recently, because this is the Road to Nationals final results. You'll be able to see this pretty much anywhere. But there seems like there's a little bit of a trifecta forming at the top of this table here with Dromai, KO, and Victor. But then everything else below it, there's still quite a nice spread of heroes.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's a handful that have won 20 or more, right? You have Kasai, Bravo, Kano, Katsu, and then you have Victor, KO, and Dromai.
Kano's the one I'm worried about.
Well, yeah, people getting greedy with not respecting the arcane barrier, because I mean, why would you if you don't think anyone's playing? And then Kano could just kind of trundle on in and just blow people up.
Did Margin Bay win this weekend?
He did.
I think he won a PTI, right?
Yeah, he did.
Oh God, brilliant.
And then the interesting ones here, once again, we have Kasai up there too. The new Kasai, 20 wins. We have Bolton, 17. Azalea, 17. Dash, Inventor Extraordinaire Dash, 16. Dorinthia, 13. And then Levia, 13. Prism, Awakener of Soul. And then it's just Rhinar, Uzuri, Phi, and then everyone else. Though I do want to talk about Uzuri in a moment, because y'all disrespecting Uzuri. But,
she won a Battle Hardened as well recently. Not just an RTN. She won a Battle Hardened recently, which is a good jumping off point. Obviously, you can see the graphic. If you want to go and study it, then fair play. Go and have a look. But yeah, it's fairly wide open with 3 main heroes that a lot of people are playing at the moment. But nice little spread across the board. But
it does really feel like 2 mostly, and then Victor. Dromai is 37, then KO is 35, and then after that Victor's 28. Still pretty close, but almost 10 wins off. But
I think Victor counters KO to a certain degree because he can block really well, and KO just does a lot of big chunks of damage, and then KO can kill Dromai, and then Dromai kills Victor. Perhaps maybe that's the circle. I don't know if that's correct or not, or whether I'm just talking absolute garbage, but that's what immediately stands out to me straight away. Because if Victor just cares about blocking effective attacks, Dromai is not going to deliver that. She's going to have a huge board state full of dragons, which he can't block effectively. but KO can cancel out the dragons by popping. Maybe Victor can do some popping as well. But yeah, that seems like the trifecta that people are playing, and clearly it's obviously working with the stats here, and then obviously everything below that can just sometimes win against the rest of the field, etc., etc. But Uzuri won a battle harden this weekend, so that was good.
Yeah, so it was battle harden Philadelphia, and I went ahead and I got the top 8 out because I thought it was pretty interesting. Because we do see some of that meta in here, but not a ton. Because we have 2 heroes in here that really weren't super represented in the ProQuest stuff, or the PTI, whatever we were talking about. Yeah, RTN, that one. Hey, there's a lot of card games, and they have a lot of things for the nationals and Pro Tour qualifiers.
They knew what you're on about. It's fine.
Back in my day, we just called them PTQs, and that was it, man. It was just you go to your PTQ, and then you play in the Pro Tour. That's what it was. This magic reference. Anyway,
there was 2 Uzuris in this top 8.
Yeah, so there's 2 Uzuris. There were 3 Dromais, 2 Uzuris, 1 Kasai, 1 Kano, and 1 Rhinar. So the outliers are the Rhinar and the 2 Uzuris. All the other heroes are ones that you saw in the getting 20 wins or more. Obviously there's the Dromai, but also Kano and Kasai. So yeah, one of the Uzuris won. Caleb Engen ended up winning with Uzuri. The coolest part about this is that the finals came down to Uzuri versus Kano. So it was like pretty sweet. I love. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm just thinking maybe these Uzuris just got really lucky, because if they paired into those Dromais at the top part of the table,
Uzuri runs a ton of 6. Uzuri has a lot of poppers though, so you run a lot of 6 attacks for your your swappers. I don't know if they were that lucky. I don't know if their matches up leading to this, but I imagine they had to play at least a couple Dromais like getting into the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that matchup really works. I've just heard that when I was at
it's not great. You don't have a lot of like go again, but you do have poppers though. So if you play it right, you can time things and steal turns, get those nasty on hit effects, rip the important cards out of their hand.
It seems like a tough one, but yeah, congrats to Caleb, who obviously dispatched 2 Kasais on the way through. So Rhinar, then Kasai, and then Kano to win.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the top 8 had like people like Brody Spurlock, Mara Ferris, like names that you likely know. Both of them were on Dromai, by the way. And they Dromai lost to Kano, which you run a lot of reds, you get blown up. So yeah, and then the Uzuri beating Kano was also interesting. Once again, you rip apart their hand. Take them down piecemeal. But I think the funniest part about this is like seeing like some people like post their like tier lists for Flesh and Blood leading up to the event. They're like, Uzuri is like C tier, low C tier, and then she just comes out of nowhere and wins the event. And I'm not saying she's the best hero in the game, but I'm saying a lot of people are disrespecting the boss there. Uzuri's won a calling as well. Like I think she's like, and I'm not just saying this because she's my favorite hero to play. I think she's quite complicated. She's not a super like linear strategy. There is a bit to play your stealth card, swap it for your thing, but there's you have a lot of decisions to make. It's fun. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy like the complexity of it. So big shout to Uzuri for winning. And I forgot the guy's name already because I closed my phone.
That's right. Yeah, Caleb Engen.
Caleb. Yeah.
So yeah, if you search that on the internet, you'll be able to see the battle hardened Philadelphia deck list as well, which doesn't really have anything that stands out that's different.
There was another Uzuri top list like a couple weeks ago, if I remember right. Like another Uzuri who did really well, and I remember looking at that list, and I was like pretty stoked to see that list run like some of my like my pet cards. I was like, oh hell yeah, dude. Like like Spreading Plague. Oh, I'm a big fan of Spreading Plague.
Spreading Plague's in this list, just one of.
Yeah. The other one I think was running like maybe 2 or 3, but yeah, good stuff.
Another thing as well, obviously, Balance of Justice is in this list, this battle-hardened Philadelphia Azuri list. Balance of Justice, like over the last couple of, I'm not sure whether you would have seen them at this point if you went over to Go Again Gaming and checked out the league that means nothing, but Balance of Justice has had some fantastic instances of destroy this, draw a card, activate this ability only if an opponent has drawn 2 or more cards this turn. There's actually quite a few interactions where you can obviously block for 2 and then draw a card, like Blood Rush Bellows turns, Herald of Erudition turns from Prism, any sort of Tome of Fyendal or Art of War turns where they're drawing 2 cards. It has a load of very good instances where you can use it. I think it's a very, very decent card. Maybe even more so, depending on the matchup, than the other crown. What's it called? Providence.
Crown of Providence. Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about Balance of Justice quite a bit, and we're basically of the mind of like if you can activate it, I think it's just better, right? Because it'll block for about the same amount, or maybe it depends on the situation, but it'll block for about the same amount. And then also just draw you a card, just flat draw you instead of like cycling a card or filtering a card. It just gives you one more card. You can actually end up in a situation where you have like a 6-card hand, right? Like, well, 5 cards in hand plus a card in arsenal. So I don't know. I think it's really good. I should probably get a copy of one. I don't have one. I probably need it for my Uzuri deck.
Especially when as well, you know that as we said earlier, the meta is going to be a lot of KOs, which are running Blood Rush Bellows. That is basically you're gonna know that you're gonna draw a card off.
Dude, they all draw cards. Like Kasai has like gold, Victor has gold, Kano draws a bunch of cards because he's Kano. Dromai even draws cards because of the tome. Like, yeah, it's just super good right now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so there's quite a few different heroes that do it, aren't there? Yeah.
You can even crack it like... do you have a window to crack it? I think we already talked about this. Do you have a window to crack it after Ponder pops? I don't remember if you can or not, but...
Yeah, it's an instant, but yeah, I'm not sure. They have to have drawn 2 or more cards this turn, though, I guess. But yeah, just wanted to throw that in there because it's a very, very good card. So yeah, congratulations to Caleb on winning a Battle Hardened with Azuri. And she's just one of those heroes that comes out of nowhere and wins callings and Battle Hardens every now and again. So
she's like Kano. People disrespect her, and then they just come in and steals games from you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those heroes that punishes people that don't block as well.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, or just it does force interaction because you need to block the on hit that you're afraid of, which could be a bluff in the whole. Yeah, it's a really interesting game.
I will say this though, like I said, the Dromai, we can go back to Rake the Embers. The Ash Wings are brutal for Dromai or for Uzuri to deal with. The big dragons aren't too bad. You're right. You have a lot of 6 attacks. You have a lot of poppers, but like the little bastards are. Good luck. Like you're not spending 2 pitch to like attack it with one of your daggers. I mean, you might have to, but like it's bad. It feels bad. It feels real bad.
It's like we were saying earlier about Dromai being able to operate her entire board state off of 1 card.
Yeah.
You play a red and then all of your stuff gets go again. The only thing that Dromai needs to do really is block for 6. Because all of Azuri's cards come in for 6 if they hit. You can sometimes buff them through like cut to the chase and stuff, but I don't know how often that's going to happen. So all Dromai needs to do is establish a board state, block for 6 on a turn where you have no buff over the top, or you can't get through, or they just block with their flame scale and maybe other 2 other cards to block 8 or 9, and then suddenly you're on the back foot because you haven't interacted and you're then getting dragon swung back at you.
Yeah,
so it's hard to punch through that damage and that interaction against Dromai.
It's
a tough one.
I mean, Uzuri has Isolate's like one of the best cards in the entire deck because you get that dominate, right?
Oh yeah, so of course that's a good way of getting something through. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the idea is that like you do that, and then if they block with a whole bunch of stuff, so they block with a card from hand and then like a bunch of equipment, that's when you Spreading Plague them and give them like 3 or 4 blood rot pox. And Dromai's going to eat that blood rot. Like, there's no way she's going to be able to pay for it. But once again, the stupid little ash wings are the ones that like shred you apart, because like you got not much against them. Most heroes don't have much against them, right? Unless you're playing like Katsu, I guess, or Fi with Kodachi Fi. But
if we go back to the graphic, Katsu is the 4th hero represented.
Yeah, dude. If I was a betting man, I have a feeling that Katsu is gonna get pretty juiced once the Mist Veil comes out. Like, I have a feeling that even if he's not one of the heroes in the set, that there's gonna be like banger ninja stuff, and he's already good. So like, I can see Katsu being like even better.
That's going to be scary, because Katsu is a pain in the ass to play against, really is, because everything he hits you with, you can go and tutor a card. It's just, I still do not understand how to play against Katsu. I don't know when to block very well. So it's always a hard one for me, because I don't know ninja cards well enough. I don't know what's coming after the hit, if that makes sense. That's all part of it as well, especially in CC. You need to know to a certain degree what you're playing against, so you know what's coming at you. And I don't really know what other heroes do apart from Azalea, so it's hard to evaluate those sorts of things. But speaking about evaluating heroes, look at that segue. We've got the first win in CC for BLITZ in Japan.
That's
RTN.
Wild. that's actually wild. That Betsy
made that deck is famous. Yuma Hamazato is famous now for doing this.
That, I mean, like, Betsy over like Bravo. That's you can't argue with the results, I guess. Like, that's kind of it's kind of like the 9-0 or 11-0 Olympia or whatever. Like that. Hey, that's sweet. And
it's hilarious.
And I think Betsy also is one of those heroes that's like one of the biggest examples of like, oh, the heroes are getting powered down or whatever, and then here she comes, she wins an event. So I don't know, it's cool. I like seeing stuff like that happen.
It's great fun, and especially this deck list as well has got some really strange cards in it, which you wouldn't have actually seen at all in a Guardian deck.
I haven't seen it.
So just to shout out the pilot of this deck. This was the 10th of March when they won on this, so only 3 days ago. As you know, so this weekend they won, and this was the card shop Lanoir in Japan somewhere. I don't know where it is, but Yuma Hamazato. So the equipment that they had out, they had the Arcane Lantern, Civic Steps, Fine Spring Tunic, Gauntlets of Iron Will, Good Time Chapeau for the Betsy Specialization helmet, some Null Rune. So maybe they knew there was a lot of wizards in their RTN. Rampart of the Ram's Head and Titan's Fist.
Okay, yeah.
As their loadout.
Tanky Betsy.
Tanky Betsy, and exactly that, because one of the cards that are in their red pitch card selection here is a card called Withstand. Now, without looking at it, do you know what this does?
Withstand. Okay, hold on. Let me think.
It's a dynasty card.
Is
Guardian.
it? It's a dynasty card. Withstand. I might know the art. Is it an art? It's either two things. My first guess was it's the 3-cost prevent 6, but I don't know if it's that one. I think that one is not from Dynasty. I think that one's from Everfest. So I'm gonna say is it the Majestic one with the guy with like the beard and the shield? Is it that one? Let's see.
No, it's not. No. So the one you was thinking of is Steadfast, and that was from Everfest. So you were correct, and that's just to pay 3 for the red version. Pay 3, prevent the next 6 damage that will be dealt to each.
Yeah, that was the first one I was thinking of. The second one I was thinking of is like it's more close up, and there's a guy with like a beard who looks like almost like a Viking, and he's got like a big shield, and he's like there's like a monster attacking him, and he's like like that.
Okay, so you're on the right lines. So this is a game for the audience to play along as well at the same time. So it cares about shields. This card.
Okay, am I right with the art? I think I might be right with the art at least.
I think yeah, you're on the right lines. It's definitely someone with a shield blocking out a fiery attack.
Am I? I've used it as a thumbnail before for the podcast. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like,
it is a shot. It's a shot in the dark. That's
what's
sure.
it called again? I'm just gonna look it up now to see if I got that right art at least.
Withstand is
Withstand.
Called. Withstand red.
And fab. All right. Let's see. Images. Looking this up. Oh, dude, no idea. That's not the card that I was gonna guess. No idea. This is a common card.
A common card. Do you want to read out what this does?
The hell?
I've had you on the wire for a long time with this one.
I would bet most people listening to this have no idea what this card is. I would bet not only that, this is obviously I'm betting because we're talking about Betsy here, but I would bet that most people have never even seen this card. Withstand, the red version, is a common card. It's a 2-cost Guardian instant. The next time target Guardian offhand defends this turn, it gets +6 defense until the combat chain closes. What the hell? What the hell is this? So you give +6 to your shield?
Yeah. Like, what on earth? Like, you pay 2 to then make your rampart block for 6, and then you could pay. So basically, if you pitch a blue to play Withstand, you use 1 blue in hand to block for 7 because your shield gets +6 plus the 1 that you pay into the rampart itself. So you pitch a blue, block for 7. That's what you do with that, basically.
The card that I was thinking of, by the way, was Never Yield. He doesn't have a shield. He has a 2-hander, but he is a big dude. He is a dude with a big beard, and it is a Guardian card from Dynasty. So at least I was close on the set. Never Yield's a cool card, by the way. It's a really sweet like UPF card. I ran it in an Evolda UPF deck. It says at the start of your turn, you destroy it. Then if you have no cards in your hand, you draw a card. If you have less life than everyone else, you gain 2 life. And if you have less equipment than everyone else, you remove a -1 counter from an equipment. That's
cool. Pretty cool. That reminds me of Down But Not Out. Similar to that.
Yeah, that one's a blue pitch 3-block aura. Yeah, it's a cool card. Play it in UPF. If you're playing Guardian, play that in UPF. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this weird Betsy block deck. Shield Betsy.
Interesting. That's the thing that sort of stood out to me because I've never seen that card in any Guardian list whatsoever. So all the people that love Guardian, I know there's a lot of people that love Guardian and Bravo in my Discord. So if you're listening to Living Legends podcast, which I'm sure you probably are, have you ever used this card, Withstand? Because I've never seen it.
Have you even ever seen it before outside of like flipping through it and you're opening up your Dynasty packs and immediately yeeting it to the side because it's just bulk?
Yeah, exactly. It's just
wow. That's really cool though. I once again, I think it's really cool when stuff like that happens. Yeah, I dig it.
Pretty cool. And then there's other stuff in here as well, which I thought was interesting as well. Obviously, we've got Nerves of Steel. So again, another Guardian action aura, a blue block 3. And it says, when this enters the arena, remove a -1 counter from a chest equipment you control. just random. And then Battle Worn and Temper on equipment you control doesn't trigger if it defends an attack with 2 or less power. When your hero is dealt damage, destroy Nerves of Steel. So another card which cares about just not triggering Battle Worn or Temper if you're being attacked for attacks with less than 2 power. So that counts Ashwings, right? So Ashwing swings for 1, nothing happens.
What does the card specifically say? Does it say attacks or attack actions?
Yeah, just defends an attack with 2 or less power.
Yeah,
Battle Worn and Tempers don't trigger.
Yeah, that sounds like it works. Sounds like it works to me.
Yeah.
So you just block. Well, they have to break the combat chain, so it would block 1 of them at least pretty well. Well, 4 of them if you have like a full set of equipment, I guess. But yeah, pretty cool.
So pretty cool. But yeah, again, another card I just don't really see much play. Nerves of Steel. But yeah, interesting deck, interesting list. We'll have to just give it a whirl myself to see what's going on there. But yeah, congratulations to Yuma.
Dig through your bulk to find all these cards.
Exactly. I do have the. Oh no, I didn't. I gave the Nerves of Steel playmat away. Because I got a Nerves of Steel playmat for one of the content creator kits when we got the Everfest playmats. Which one did you get?
I got Fire
You
Breathing.
got Fire Breathing. That's it. Yeah. Nice. But I gave that to my I gave the playmat of Nerves of Steel to my mate who loves Guardian, who helped me film the football match thing. So I gave that to him, that mat. But yeah, so interesting deck. Congratulations to Yuma Hamazato for getting the first Living Legend points, I believe, for Betsy skin in the game, and she now does have skin in the game. So fair play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, apart from that, that's pretty much everything that I had on my list. It's basically just cool things that have happened for heroes, what the meta could look like or what it looks like, and obviously the CC constructed decks. That's pretty much all I had on the thing for today. So we could just go into the Arsenal step now if we've been
sure.
We've been chatting for a while.
Yeah, we've been at it for like an hour and some change. Hour 25.
Nice.
Yeah, so for the Arsenal step, I've been playing a lot more video games in my downtime recently. I haven't had a ton of downtime, so I haven't really gotten too far into the games, but I mentioned last week or the week before that there was a bunch of games coming out that I was interested in. So recently, the Persona 3 remake came out. I bought it. I've been playing it. It's really, really, really good. All of the extra stuff they've added, everything is just so good. If you like Persona, you'll very much like it. If you like turn-based Japanese RPGs, you'll probably like it. There's a lot of like dark stories, like a lot of the social links and stuff are kind of like messed up. So like, you know, it's not like a feels good kind of game. But that's how all Persona games are. And then I finally, after many, many years, and it's kind of crazy to think this has been out for many years, I finally bought Final Fantasy VII Remake, because the sequel to it, I guess you can say, just came out. Everyone says it's like one of the best games ever. And I was like, okay, I really want to play that, but I want to play the first one first. And I've actually never played Final Fantasy VII at all. I played Final Fantasy VIII. I played newer Final Fantasy games, but I never actually played 7. I never had it. We never had a PlayStation growing up. I was like an N64 kid. And so, is there a version on N64? I don't know. But in any case, no. I never played Final Fantasy VII. I know about it. I've seen, I watched Advent Children when that came out. It's pretty good. Pretty good. It's the way I understand the way the remake works. It's not canon anymore because it does some weird stuff. It's not the same.
I haven't actually, to be honest, I haven't actually played any of the remake stuff because Final Fantasy VII holds a very special place in my heart for the original. I will definitely play it when everything is available for it. I don't like this episodic nature where you get to this part in the game and then suddenly you have to wait for the next part of the story. I don't really like that format.
Yeah.
So I will definitely play it when it's all available to play. If it's like a mega version where you do everything sort of thing. But
hopefully it's not too expensive. So basically they had a bundle that had remake and what is the second one called? Rebirth? Remake and Rebirth. Yeah. They had a bundle for like $90 or something on PlayStation Store, which is cheaper than buying both of them separately. So I was just like, okay, I was gonna wait and buy the second one later after I finished the first one, but it was just cheaper this way. And I was like, if I'm gonna end up buying both of them, might as well just save like $10 or whatever. So I ended up doing that. Maybe it was like $100, and individually they're both like $60, so I saved like $20. In any case, it's like it saves some money. And I am on like chapter 9. It's really good. It's really, really good. From what I know of the original, obviously it's not a turn-based RPG. You have the real-time battle system, but you can like hit a button and everything freezes and then pick what to do. It reminds me more of like a Tales game, right? Like a Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Arise. I'm a big fan of the Tales game, so I'm actually really enjoying the combat. I do know the loose, rough things of the story, but I'm actually really interested to like Google or look up a YouTube video of like all of the differences between remake and the original Final Fantasy VII. I kind of want to be surprised a little bit, so I know there's some pretty obvious stuff pretty early on. This is not a spoiler, but there's like these weird, I don't know what they are yet because I'm not that far, but I know these were not in the original Final Fantasy VII. And there's these weird hooded ghost things that just like fly around, and they're at certain points in the story and they do weird stuff. And I know those were not in the original Final Fantasy VII. So I know that, but not much. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know much else other than that. But what I have heard from people who have played through the game who are diehard Final Fantasy VII fans is from most people I've heard, they really, really enjoy it. I think it's just one of those things that you go into knowing that it's not a 1-to-1 remake. They're doing something new here. It feels like it's more like a alternate. I don't know if this is close. This is a guess. It feels like it's like an alternate timeline, parallel universe thing. I don't know, but it's cool and it's fun, and the graphics are really good. And
it's hard to really talk about it if you care about spoilers, because Final Fantasy VII goes in certain directions, which I believe they're looking to potentially change the outcome or change outcomes in the remake.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not going to say anything else. I think it's pretty common knowledge, but I'm not going to say it because I do know a thing that I knew before going into this. That is different. But other than that, like, I don't know. Like, once again, not a spoiler because it's literally the box art. But on the box art of Rebirth, there's Cloud, Zack, and Sephiroth. So I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, long story short, it's really fun. I'm looking forward to playing the to Rebirth when I get around to it. And what else? I've been continuing to play. There's a lot of games, man, because there's Persona Reloaded, Persona 3 Reloaded, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and then also Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is continued to be incredible. Amazing Monster Hunter style game. I absolutely love it. Can't wait for the new content coming out. They have free characters and a new raid thing coming out. And the final video game thing I want to mention hasn't happened yet. It comes out in 10 days from the time of this recording, and that is Dragon's Dogma 2. I didn't realize this. This made me feel really old, but the original Dragon's Dogma came out like 11 years ago, and I'm like, God damn, I'm so old. Because I remember when that game came out, and I downloaded the demo on Xbox 360. And I played the demo so much. You fought the Griffin in the demo. I played it so much. I'm like, this game is so fun. And then when I bought it, I played it so much. And then I bought the Dark Arisen that came out. I played that. And then like a year or two ago, they remastered it for PS4. And then I bought that one. And then I played through it all again. I really love Dragon's Dogma. It's like some of the most fun action fantasy combat I've ever played. So I'm so stoked for 2. I'm going to spend so much time, all roads lead to Grand Soren, my friends. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a game I'm going to get as well, probably on PC. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play with you, but
I hope there's crossplay.
There's no co-op anyway, but so hopefully you can just use your friend's tag and then their pawn comes and fights for you in your party or whatever, hopefully, because it's not direct co-op as we know from the first one. So hopefully that system works. But yeah, I've seen also Miss Chalice reminded me of this because they're doing a character creation test or beta, aren't they?
It's like a demo. You can download it right now, I think.
Yeah, so I saw a character that she had created on Twitter recently, but I haven't actually done it myself. I haven't actually done that part yet, so it might be worth maybe just going in and just seeing what that
free
process is like.
So I think it might only be for PC for the character creator. I don't know if you can do it for console yet. But yeah, I will be buying it on PS5 just because that's how I intend on playing it, just kind of on the couch. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. My first character will likely be the like the rogue assassin archetype, and I'm not sure what my pawn will be. I mix it up, so my pawn is either going to be like a big two-handed warrior, or perhaps like a more spellcaster with like support skills. I'm not sure which one I want to go with yet, but
I'm gonna go. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with like a woman that can wield a huge blade, basically, or if like a spear or something like that. That's the sort of thing I'm gonna go for.
I like having buff lady as my pawn, like cool buff warrior lady, because I can just give her all the gear and all the loot, because she can hold it more. Because she like, this is a game that has like, at least the original one had like weight on gear, and like you just dump it all onto your pawn that has like immense strength stats or whatever. That was good.
Good. I mean, I'll definitely be getting it as well, but by the time I get it, because I'm getting it at the end of the month for payday office reasons, you'll be a week ahead of me playing it.
We'll see if I have time. I do want to get it when the game comes out, but I'm also waiting for various payments as well. I'm waiting for like my casting payment for Grand Archive, as well as some other like sponsored stuff. So I'm also in the similar boat. I'm just waiting for the invoices to go through, and then especially since, like I just mentioned, just spent like $300 at the vet, so it's like took a little hit on that, and it came at a bad time where I was like commissioned some art, and things all just line up. So anyway, we'll see if I play it on launch day or not, but I'm excited.
For us in the UK, the weekend it comes out is what we call a bank holiday, or Easter break. So we get a long weekend. We get Friday off and the Monday off, so we've got a long extended weekend, which is Dragon's Dogma weekend, or the weekend after that, sorry. So yeah, that's when I definitely fully intend on sinking 3 days into it. Haven't told the girlfriend that I'm going to be doing this yet, but
it's one of those situations where like probably gonna have to prep like a week's worth of videos in advance, and so I could like no life it for like 2 or 3 days in a row. Because these other games I've been playing, I just hour here, half hour there as I have time, because I'm pretty busy with the content and stuff, especially this week because I have 4 videos coming out. Hey, if you like Critical Role and Dungeons and Dragons, there's a new collab with Universes for Vox Machina, and I got an early Dex, and I opened it up, and that video will come out tomorrow. And spoilers, it's really cool. I won't say much more because I'm technically under NDA, but it's really cool.
Nice.
So there's that. But how about you? Do you have anything in your arsenal, Step?
Not particularly, I don't think. The main stuff I've been doing is the league stuff, which is more fab related. So yeah, that's over on Go Again Gaming. But that's pretty much all I've been doing recently in the spare time, because it takes up quite a lot of time. But then that being said, obviously the Dragon's Dogma is around the corner, so I'm definitely going to be getting that towards the end of the month. So that'll be a game that I play a lot of. Apart from that, I'm going to a gig next week, next Friday. It's a band called Fight Star. So it's do you know the band Busted?
No, I do not.
Busted, they're like a pop group, in the UK, and basically one of their the main guy who does the most musically talented guy in the band, basically went off to do like a rock and metal side project a long time ago, and that's his band is playing next week, and they're doing like a big reunion thing at Wembley Arena, which is a big like stadium in London. So that's going to be a good experience on Friday, next Friday, 22nd.
In the last couple months, I have been listening to a UK band a lot more. You might have heard of them. I'm not sure. They're called Creeper.
Oh yeah, I think so. Like goth
Yeah.
metal.
Yeah. They're more like goth, but they have like they mix in a lot of different style stuff. Like they have songs that sound like a little post hardcore. They mix in like this kind of like rockabilly kind of vibe on some stuff. So it's like dark gothic rockabilly post hardcore with some like clean vocal. I don't know. It's weird. I really love it actually. Their albums. I've been listening to a lot of the stuff on Spotify. Some albums sound very very different from each other. Like their more recent album is very gothy. So the vocals are really deep. So it has like those traditional like deep goth vocals. But my favorite album is called Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, and the vocals on that album sound more like emo post-hardcore type, but have like this weird rockabilly vibe.
Oh wow,
it's cool. That album's like really good. Like it's one of those albums where there's like 5, 6, 7 songs that I think are like excellent, and that's when I can tell like this is an album that I really like. So I've been listening to that quite a bit when like traveling and stuff. So yeah. Creeper. Good band. Yeah.
That's another thing as well. I did start. Maybe in March last year, I started a new YouTube channel which was going to be like a reactions to new music videos and trailers. I did start that, and I'm thinking of potentially doing that again because there's a lot of music from bands that I like that's coming out this year. So I feel like I might do that again, but we'll see how much time I've got. I love music.
Oh yeah, dude, I listen to music all the time. Like literally, like very, very, very much. I'm actually thinking of something like a little opposite of what. So like, for if you're listening this far, probably gonna end the episode pretty shortly here. But if you're listening this far, I have been getting a lot of requests on my old this is card game related, my WeCross channel. I have stopped uploading to. I haven't uploaded to it in like 6 months or so, just because like covering so many card games is expensive, and the WeCross channel is doing okay. I think it has like 1,500 or 1,600 subs or something. And I got like keep getting more comments that people are like, please make more content, please make more content. And I was like, one of the sets that just came out features one of my favorite characters from the original WeCross, and I was like, maybe I'll buy a box. They're pretty cheap too. The boxes are like $40, $50 around that price point. So like maybe I'll buy like a box and do like a little catching up kind of video. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just post it on Red Zone Rogue and not the WeCross channel. And maybe I'll just kind of do that every, so often, since I'm covering 2 anime games like mainline now anyway. And I did a lot of WeCross stuff on Red Zone Rogue before, including like a how to play video that has like a lot of views. Like, I don't know. I don't remember how many views it has. Like, I want to say like 40,000, but I don't remember exactly how many. But the how to play WeCross video did well. But so yeah, if you're a fan of WeCross here at the end, probably not, because you're here for Flesh and Blood. Hey, if you are, I might be posting like an update video on WeCross soon-ish. I'm hoping I can trade for a bunch of sealed product, so I don't actually have to buy any. So, yeah. But cool. That's about the last thing I have to say for this episode.
Same. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, we got a lot of Flesh and Blood speaking there as well, so it's all good. But yeah, we'll be back next week to do it all over again with Bill, hopefully. So hopefully he's feeling better. We can get back on it with the 3 of us. UK, America, and Canada, all united as one. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for this week. So yeah, I've been the host today. My name's Az from Go Again Gaming, and you can find me on Go Again Gaming on YouTube, and then Go Again Gaming AZ on Twitter. And the main sort of content which you can come to expect on there is the League That Means Nothing. That's the main sort of stuff that I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll throw it over to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me everywhere at Red Zone Rogue. On YouTube, I cover pretty equally Flesh and Blood, Grand Archive, and Shadowverse this year. But if you're here for the Flesh and Blood content, you can expect the Living Legends podcast every single week on Red Zone Rogue and on your various podcast platforms. and some extra Flesh and Blood stuff here and there too. I've had some ideas for some videos, but a lot of the times I'm like, maybe I'll just save my thoughts for the podcast. So I don't know. You know, if you like a variety of content, then go check out Red Zone Rogue. Yeah,
absolutely.
Those are my 3 main games, but I basically just make videos about whatever I find interesting. So yeah, I've been toying around one that I probably do soon. I really need to just do it. It's about Flesh and Blood. It's about how Flesh and Blood is like Legend of the Five Rings. So I want to maybe talk about that a little bit, but
yeah.
Oh, and Prof is going to be on my channel sometime soon at some point as well, but
yeah. But yeah, sounds good. We'll have to get you back on to do some more casting and coverage on the League That Means Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to have I've got a few games that will always need to be done. So yeah, we can definitely do a few more of those if you're up for it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I'm down to do that. I will be doing casting throughout this year at various other events as well that I cannot talk about yet, but I will be.
Sounds good.
So, but I will also be on Go Again Gaming. So go check that out. Check out the video. So I did watch one of the videos recently. It was you and DM Armada. I will not spoil the outcome, but it was very close. So
yeah.
Go watch it. It was very close. Came down to single point life totals lower than 5, I believe. I don't want to spoil it too much, but
that's right.
Came down to the wire.
It was because that was a game that Bill from this podcast was casting alongside Jay, wasn't it? So
yes.
So yeah, that was it was a good one to start off this week. But yeah, go and check it out. You'll see and hear Kellon's some games, and maybe even play some games in the next season.
Yeah,
if you want to get involved with it. I don't know whether I think it might be CC again, just because that seems to be the general consensus. But you can just bring a Zuri. You like Zuri, don't you?
So the thing is I actually have like a bunch of Flesh and Blood decks. I just haven't updated a lot of them. So I technically have like a Viscerai deck as well for CC, and I have a bunch of Blitz decks too. But for CC, I think it's mostly just Viscerai and Uzuri now. I'm trying to think if I have a Lexi deck, but Lexi got LL'd, so I don't remember if I took it apart, if it's still, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, we could do the League That Means Nothing Living Legend format, but just no Starvos.
yeah, no Starvos. Well,
we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, give me a chance to play Duskblade. I can dust off I have a cold foil one, so I can dust off my cold foil Duskblade. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. So,
but until next time, yeah. So we've been the Living Legends podcast, and we'll do it all over again next week with various topics. I'm assuming we'll see what's happening from the Fab Mothership next week, but we've always got something to speak about between the 3 of us. So yeah, join us then. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.